Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, welcome to my stream, and welcome to yet another video. This is part number 2, working on this guy right here, the Korean F-51 Mustang. I call it Korean because that's the version I'm doing. This is a Tamiya 1/32 scale P or F-51 Mustang. So let's just get into it, right? We got an engine built, sort of. We got part of it built last time. It's sitting right here. Kind of hard to see because it's black, so I'll try and keep it in the white background for you. We have part of it built, and so we're just going to continue on to that with it today, and we'll see how far we get, shall we? So that is done. So we got all this done and assembled here on this section. Well, not quite. We got it almost done. Last time I got to this part here where I got to put the front cover on, but I decided to paint it. And so before we continue and I go any further, let me just change the camera and you can see where I'm going with this. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so we had assembled the crankcase and the intercooler pump. Okay, and then we got the I don't know what that's called. They don't call it out. They don't say it. It's just the engine. We got the oil pan put on, and then it was time for this. Okay, so I did get this part put on up top here. Again, it's hard to see. I'm sorry because now it's all black. And we got the back part of this put on up here. Okay, I'm going to take this off of here. Okay, we got the back part of the front cover put on. That's this little piece right there. It's this guy here. Okay, and then we got to put the front part on, and we got to put the I'm going to call it the input shaft. I don't know really what it is, but we got to put that on there, but we got to paint it silver first, and I already did that, and that's this right here. So it's already painted silver, and so I just need to get it off of the sprue. There we go. And we can put this in. We're not supposed to glue this one. Okay, I'm going to change my glasses here. Should try and take my other ones off first before I try and put the new ones on. And I want to do this here. Okay. All right. So I want to make sure this is nicely cleaned up and round, so that, because I have a feeling this is supposed to be able to rotate, which is why we're not gluing this piece in. That's right. So this is going to go through right there, like that, and then this is going to go like this. Okay. Now we can glue this part, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there so that it slides in over this little nub easier. In fact, I'll just put it on the nub. Do that there. And I'll put a dab here, and get this glued in. There we go. Okay, so that is on, and that can spin. If I really wanted to go crazy, I could have put a little dab of grease in there with some kind of oil, and then really have it spin. Now I'm finding this doesn't want to stay quite together, so I want to hold it while I get my fin set. Put a little dab in there. Just hold this for a second. And then hopefully that'll stick. There we go, that's better. Still spins, which means I didn't accidentally glue on there. There we go. So set this down. Moving on. We're going to work on the supercharger. Wow, they got superchargers? I thought they hadn't. You know, I had heard somewhere years ago that back in these World War II planes, some of them had nitrous oxide. Not like you'd find in a car, but, you know, still. Anyway, we gotta find our E tree again. Not again, but we gotta find our E tree, because we've been working off the H tree for a while. We're still gonna need it, but gotta find my E tree. So where's my E tree? Dig through my parts here. This is E, okay? So just like I showed you last time, I like to, whenever I start working on a new sprue, I like to mark it so it's easy to see from a distance. It's not always the easiest thing, but yeah, I like to do that, so I'm not hunting so much. So E6 and 7, which are obviously these two big pieces here, the big part of the supercharger. Okay, anything else off the E tree? No. Okay, so that's that. Where's my knife? The knife is hiding. Let's just make sure it's cleaned up good. Of course, this is good. 99% of everything we're doing on this is just going to be black. So you get to see it while I'm doing it, while I'm assembling it. But after I painted it, suddenly you're not going to see any details. And that's unfortunate, because in real life, in my case, I can see the details, but you guys can't really. And so, sorry about that. These two go together. Pretty straightforward on this part. There we go. Those two go like this. Okay. And now, this part, we got H. Back to our H tree. 1939 and 40. $19.39 and 40. We got. Well, here's 40. We need 39, which is this little guy here. And then 19. 19, this guy here. Just gonna see. Go. Okay. There you go. Okay. Show you here a couple of nubs because they had this undergated, so we need to trim these two nubs off on this side here. So just make sure those are shaved down smooth so it'll all fit together. Make sure I clean these up good. Okay, so starting with this piece, this configuration, it looks like this guy's got to go on. This little nub going into that little hole. Just like that. Okay, that one's done. And then this guy goes in this direction. We're going to line up that nub into that top hole. So a little glue there and a little glue on the bottom side. Get it lined up. That. Now this whole assembly needs to be painted black as well. Okay? And so does this. These both are going to be black. We're done for this page. So there's our engine sitting there. It's a nice little silver shaft. Let's just put this over here. We'll flip our page because we are done with this page. Finally finished page 1. Okay, so back to our E tree, we need E5. This is a carburetor, okay, so we're doing E5, E8, and E13. So we're back to our E tree. E5 is our big guy here. E8 is a little smaller piece, this guy here. And E13. This guy there. Okay. And then we're going to go on V, so we're going to have to grab our V tree and SB6. We've got some nuts and we got polycaps we've got to deal with. So we'll get those out in a minute. First of all, just make sure my nubs are clean on there. Okay, so looking at this, they want this piece to go up top here, like this. It's a little bit tricky. Facing this direction. Going like that. Okay. I can do that. Okay, that's on. Now this other piece here that I grabbed, this has to go in between this and this. So we gotta grab our stuff here. Gotta grab our other pieces. Gotta find our V tree, and we gotta get our hardware bag. So finding our V tree. V. Which one is V? Found my D. You guys know I always love it when I find my D. I'm finding just about everything except the V. Found the double D. Whoa. Found the double D tree. Which one is this one? That's B. Found the W. And J. And S is sitting in the bag. So, where is my V tree? We gotta find a V tree, V7 and 8. Where are those? Got my little hardware bags and poly caps. So I'm missing my V tree. I don't know where it is. I must have. I'm gonna have to go through these again. V. It's J and J. Those are the weapons. This is W. Now sometimes, yeah. See, I was just gonna say. Sometimes to me it does this. Bandai does the same thing. Sometimes you got one big sprue, but they've got it labeled twice. So we got a W here and a V here. So this is our V tree, and this is W. So they kind of trick you. You think it's all one, but it's not. So I'm going to do this, okay, and separate them so that I know from now on which is which. And of course, I'll do my little label. This is V. And just to make sure, I'm going to do it right here too. This is V. And then on this side, I get to find a blank spot. That's a V. There we go. Okay. I need that, so I'll leave that there. And then this is W. W there. Flip her over. W. There we go. Okay. So we needed V7 and 8, which are these two here. V7 and 8. Now, SB6. I don't know what that is. Oh, SB6 is a block. Okay, never mind, never mind. I'm getting a little confused. I thought this line was pointing to the center shaft here, but that's actually this. So SB6 is just a nut. Oh, these are stuck like this. So why is that stuck together? But there's magnets in there, that's why. So SB6 is a nut, and Tamiya in their wisdom, they always put their diagrams. Let me bring this back down so you can see what I'm pointing at. Here, you can tell, you can always line it up and see exactly which one it is, because it matches up the size perfectly, right? That's something I do really like about Tamiya. They really help you out like that. So one thing you do want to be careful with this stuff. I'm going to dump these out, right? So that's the nut I need right there. Okay, bring it down so you can see there. That's the nut I need. Actually, no, it's not, is it? So check here. Looks like that's it. But what about this one? Because this is bigger. This one is, I think this is too big. I don't think that one's correct. I don't think that's the right one. I think it's this one. Because this one fits in the diagram perfectly. So I don't think it's this. I think it's this one. It's definitely not this tiny one that's in this side of the bag. Okay, so one thing I do like to do is put things in containers so that I don't lose them. So I've got these little Glad plastic containers, Tupperware things. So keep everything organized so I don't lose them, because especially when you get to this small hardware stuff, it is easy to lose. This one's just a little shaft and a tiny little nut there, and then we got another little nut here on this side, so I'm just gonna see if I can get that out. Get you to fall in. There we go. And that's it. Empty bag. And then we need a couple of poly caps, and they show you right there the size poly cap, because we've got two sizes in here also, right? And it's definitely not those tiny ones, it's the bigger one. So I'm going to just put this in there, and then I'll cut open this bag and fling one of the poly caps out by mistake. Okay, so we need two, so I'm going to use both of these. Let's close this up and put it aside for now. So we're not going to need that for a little while. Okay, so with that all done, let's continue on. Alright, so what do we have to do here? We need to take this. We got our little spots. We're going to put poly caps in here and then the nut right there. Okay, now this would be the telltale thing. Did we choose the right ones? I'm going to say, yeah, I chose the right nut because that fits perfectly. And then our poly caps got to go in here. Now look at that. That doesn't fit. So what's that tell me? It tells me I got the wrong poly caps, even though that fits perfectly there. That looks like the right poly cap, and yet it doesn't fit in there. The poly cap is too tall to fit in that spot. I don't want to lose this, so I'm just going to put it here. I'm going to put this here too. So there's indents on both sides, but these poly caps are too big to fit in there. So let's have a look at those other caps. So I have a third one plus those little tiny ones. Now I got a feeling I need the little tiny ones. Just do a little test fit here. Yeah, see, that fits in there perfect. So it's these guys, not you guys. So I need two of these. So 1, 2. Okay. So it goes like that. It goes like that. Okay. And then this slides over top. Like that. Okay, so now this doesn't, because of the poly caps are giving a little bit of resistance and it wants to kind of stay open, so let me just get a little help here. Unfortunately, that's not going to work, so I'm going to have to hold this by hand. Sometimes it's just the way it is. Okay, so I'll hold that for a minute. Let our thin set do its thing before we move on to putting our other two pieces together on here. In the meantime, I'm going to need my E tree again to grab these pieces. So let's grab that. Where did my E tree go? There's my E tree. Let go of this now. Yay. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay, so still working on this. We need to put this guy. He's going to go through on this shaft. So it looks like he's got a little nub there that's going to line up with that notch. Like this. Like that. And this guy needs to line up. And how does he go? Oh, he actually goes like this. He's not even involved with that. I was waiting for that because I thought he attached to this too, but he doesn't. So he simply gets lined up between there and there. There we go. So that's on. And this goes back on here. That lined up nicely. And just hold that like that. There we go. Okay, so we've got that done. Again, this is going to be painted completely all 100% black, so we're not going to really see a lot of the detail afterwards. Okay, next step, and we need our E parts. E number 2, 3, and 4. This is 2, 2, 3, and 4. We'll see how these go together. This guy's sitting like this. This goes on the front. Like that. goes on the side. Little slot goes in like that. Okay. There we go. So that's assembled. Now that has to go in down here at the bottom of this. So it is shaped just in such a way that it should just line up perfect, because it's Tamiya and the fitment is always great. They really do go out of their way to make the builds easy on their 1/32 scale kits. I do tell you that. They really go out of their way. So that's it. The carburetor is finished. Okay. Next is the intercooler. Again, off of our E-tree. E12, 11, 10, and 9. Looks like it's going to be these 4 parts here. It's 9. 10. 11. 12. And I'm going to guess, since these 2 parts look almost identical to this, this is just a separate option. Maybe this is for a P-51C or something like that, where this one is clearly for the D, because, you know, we love the D. Looks like the exact same thing, just slightly different mold, but the same part otherwise. So I'm just going to clean up my little nubs here to make sure everything's nice and smooth and happy, not falling on the floor. Okay, these 2 go together. Looks like ready? No, go like this. Just like that. Okay. Clean these ones up. All right. So this one goes on top. This. And then, with these guys in this direction, just like in the picture, holding it like that, this one's going to go on this side. Just like that. And there's our little intercooler. Now, grabbing some stuff off of our H-tree. Oh, look at that, we got something actually painted aluminum. But we're going to do that later. Go back to our H-tree. So we need 31, 32, and 36. Here's 36. And 31 and 32. Over here. There's 31, 32. Okay. Now number 30 and 33 look like very, very similar parts. So again, I'm guessing it's for just a different option. Different version of the plane. It's going to depend on which one you use. Which one the instructions will call out for. If there's anything I know about Tamiya, they like to use the same molds or the same sprues on multiple kits. They do that in the RC stuff too. Okay, so one thing we have forgotten to do so far is we have this guy, because I'm skipped down to here, but I need more parts. I need more assembly up here. So I put the one on down there, but now we got to put our supercharger on. So we got a little thing there, and the slot's going to line up there, so that should, oh, thank you Tamiya, that fits perfectly. So nice. And then we're going to put this guy on. This guy here. And he goes on like that. One little hole there. We've cleaned up our little divots on the side. And as soon as he gets lined up, it should fit oh so nice. Oh, thank you. Just like that. Perfect fit. Thank you, Tamiya. Very nice. It's like that. Looking good. Okay, I'm gonna clean these up. All right. I missed one. I need E number 1. E1, there you go. Okay. So it looks like H31 goes against H32. So that's this guy going with this guy. Doesn't really, this one doesn't look like it fits proper. Maybe it does, and I'm not seeing it. Doesn't really fit. There's a slot here, and it's actually, let me get a good close look. So this peg here is actually in the shape of a D. Okay. One flat edge and then the other side is rounded, but we don't have that on this one. So let me look at off of the H tree. Let's look at the other one. It's possible I chose the wrong one. See, the hole in this one is much bigger. Let me show you here. without getting my big fat fingers in the way. See the size of the hole at the bottom is much smaller on this one. So I just want to do a test fit with it on the sprue here. It doesn't really fit either, because we're trying to put the peg with the square, one square side in it. Unless I'm putting it in the wrong way, which is very possible. I think I am putting it in the wrong way. Oh yeah, see, I had it backwards. I'm trying to put the wrong peg in that hole, and that explains why it was not fitting. But it fits now. Thank you very much. So I actually want to leave this one off of here because I need to paint this aluminum, and if I put it on here, see, it's supposed to go right here. It goes right there on this piece, just like that. Just like that, and if I got it on there, it's going to be a little hard to paint, right? So I'm going to leave this off for now. I'll leave that off for now, and I'll paint it later and then put it on. In the meantime, we can put these other pieces on. This guy has to go down on this slot here, right there. Just like that, okay? And then E1 has to go up top here, right in there. Right in that little spot there. Just like that. All right. So that's it for that. Okay, that takes care of all of this. We haven't dealt with this, the intercooler yet. We don't know where that goes. It looks like it's going to go up top here eventually. Is going to go up there. The intercooler, that's all X18, everything gloss black, everything gloss black, right? With the exception of part of this guy here, they've got some aluminum on it. But we're done with this for now. So we're going to set this down and let that all dry. We'll put this aside too. We're going to work on, so this is the oil tank. Okay, when I was looking at this on the sprue, I didn't know what it was, but the oil tank, and it's going to have some aluminum on it too, and we're going to deal with some chromate. Chromate, of course, you guys know, is basically the base color that they painted. They painted these things all in the chromate. You guys have seen it in old pictures and all that, and I guess there's lots of debate online on exactly the specific color, the specific shade of green that the chromate was, right? As you guys know, I'm not looking for something that's going to be historically perfectly accurate to what it was. So in dealing with that, I picked up, because Tamiya doesn't make a chromate color in their either their X or XF line of paints, and they don't make it in their spray paints. Even in the instructions, they want you to use 2 parts, XF3 and XF5, right? 3 and 5 is green, and I don't know, 3 is green, I believe. Let's go look back to our beginning of our book. 3 is yellow and 5 is green. Okay, so you want to mix the yellow and green, and you want to have 2 parts yellow and 1 part green, right? That gives you that kind of half and half kind of look. So, but Vallejo in their airline, model airline of paints, they make a light chromate. Well, they call it light green chromate, and that's this right here. And so I picked up this light green chromate. Okay, that is number 71.006. Okay, I put a little bit on the top of the lid there so you can see what the actual color looks like over the black. And so that's what I'm going to be using on this kit, is this stuff. Now, I will say, yes, you can spray this stuff straight out of the bottle. You just got to crank up your pressure a little bit. I don't really like spray painting Vallejo paints, because unlike Tamiya, where you just Tamiya paints out of the bottle, put it with 50/50 lacquer thinner. You can use Mr. Hobby's leveling thinner. You can use this stuff. If you want, you can use, I've heard you can mix it with alcohol. I just use straight up lacquer thinner from the hardware store. Straight up, just this stuff here. It's so much cheaper. 50/50, done, spray it, and it sprays all day long. I don't get no tip drying, I don't get no sputtering, nothing. It works great. This stuff, however, this is finicky. This stuff likes to dry on the needle, on the tip of the needle. It likes to get plugged, it clogs up. It's really frustrating. It takes a lot of practice to spray the Vallejo color paints. So, knowing that, I know I'm in for a challenge, because I don't want to take, Tamiya's green and yellow and mix them until I get them right, and then I've got a bottle of this extra stuff that I don't really need very much of. So I don't want to bother doing that. So I'm just going to use this. I do have, what I do mix with it is Vallejo's airbrush flow improver. This stuff is a retarder, so it doesn't want to dry quite as fast as normally, because this stuff will dry quick and it'll plug up your needle and you'll get blobs of it on your needle, and that sucks. But this stuff helps a lot with that. So yeah, we do that. Vallejo also does have thinner medium, which is this stuff here, and I can use that too if I really think it needs some thinning. But the flow improver also kind of acts like that too. So yeah, it's one of those things, right? It is what it is. So anyway, that's that. So that's my little rant on that stuff and what I'm going to be doing. So let's just get this thing kind of assembled here and start to at least the 2 halves, because once I get the 2 halves together, I need to paint them, and then I'm going to need to do a bunch of detail painting. It looks like I'm going to be painting this before I actually assemble it all together, but I'll get the 2 halves. So that's going to be off of our W tree. Our W tree, the one that we had to separate earlier. Off of our W tree here. So let's change the camera again. Okay, so these 2 halves are going to go together. Okay. And I changed my glasses to talk to you, so let's just change back here. Those 2 go together, and then I'm going to need this one off. V3 needs to be prepared. What is this one? W7. W7. This little hose right here. There. Okay. And then we're going to need V3 and V12, but we don't need V12 right away. So let's find our V again. Where's our V? If it's H and whatever. What's Z? Where did my V go? V, V3 and 12. V3 is this big guy here. V3, and then 12 is just a little guy here. Where did he go? V12, this little box right here. Okay, V12. All right. So these need to be painted in the chromate color. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll assemble these and I'll paint them and then I'll call it a day. Because once I get them painted, I'm going to have to paint the details on them. And that's going to take some time. They do point out here that once you've got this off of the sprue, you need to trim these nubs out of here. Otherwise, our two halves will not fit together. Okay, so these are going to go together like this. I should fix that seam line there. It's a pretty ugly looking seam line. I'm not sure if that's actually part of how it's supposed to be. I'm going to guess it is supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to tell that it's two halves and not just one big solid piece. So I'll just leave that great big seam line there. Now this guy is supposed to go over on top here, just like this, right? Kind of like that. But I'm not going to glue him on there. This top piece needs to be chromate, but the rest needs to be aluminum with a little bit of black on it. So I'm going to have this separate, and I'll paint it separate too. Okay. Okay, so we're calling out these little straps are supposed to be aluminum, and that's going to help me because that gives me something to hold on to with my clip. And of course only the top piece on this is supposed to be chromate, so I can do that, so I can paint this easy. And then this guy, well, I'm guessing these long things are not going to be seen at all, so I can easily just do that, and then I can paint it like this. Okay, so let's put our glue away, at least for now, and remove all my stuff so I can get ready to paint. Move this over. Fire up my air compressor. Hopefully that's my microphone's still working. I didn't kill you guys with that. Okay, so I gotta do some mixing. That's gonna be up first. Okay. So I'm going to change the camera here because you don't need to be all focused in on that stuff. Okay, I got to grab a little cup, which is going to be here. Just one of those. Move my guys over here. You guys want to watch me paint too? Want to be able to zoom in? I can set this up here for you too, so you guys can see. Let's see how that might look. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. All right, so what I do like to do, I do have inside here, if you try and put a little, like I always put the little stainless steel balls. I always put these guys in my Tamiya paints, so it gives you that little rattle, you know, gives you something, it shakes it up and gets rid of that, you know, really gets that pigment mixing in there. You can't put those same balls in a Vallejo one because what will happen is the ball will go up into the little tip here and then it gets stuck. And so you can't do that. So what I did is I bought a bunch of little stainless steel nuts. Right? A bunch of stainless steel nuts. And I put those in there. I put one of those in there. And so that's, and they're a little heavier because the Vallejo paint is thick, right? It's thick stuff, and so that works. You can hear that shaking around in there, and that really helps it out and mix up that Vallejo paint, right? So that really helps out a lot. Okay, so you're going to see, even though this is air color, it's still not that much. Now, of course, I'm only painting a couple little parts, so I don't need a lot. Okay, you only need a few drops of this. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good enough. Mix this up, just so we're not, so it helps it to not dry out on me a little bit. Okay. All right. So, let's see how this does. Theory, it won't give me too much grief, especially I'm not painting for a whole long time. Okay. So it is a little thicker than the Tamiya, but I'm just doing a couple of pieces. So I'll change this over, and you can have a look and watch me do this. See how good or bad it is. The coverage is pretty good on it, I will say that. And one thing about Vallejo paints, they have Vallejo puts something in them that makes them smell something like flowers. It smells similar to some kind of a flower. So, you know, there's all kinds of different paints and they smell funny, they stink, it smells like thinner of some sort. Vallejo smells like flowers. What they put in it, how they do that, I do not know. But they smell like flowers. Just awful. Just making sure I've got good coverage here all over the thing. There we go. Every now and then, gotta splurt that out of there, maximum pressure, just to make sure you got coverage. Not plugging up your needle. we go. I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to need. Just making sure it's coverage everywhere. All angles. Just like that. Okay. That's it. That's it. Now, unlike the Tamiya stuff, now that I've done this, I can't pour this back into the bottle because the flow improver is a little unique, right? And of course, it's Vallejo, so these are water-based. So I need to get some water. Although you can clean it with lacquer thinner, it's just not the same. So what I like to do is I use one of these, okay? But I got to get some hot water. That's the key to cleaning with Vallejo. You need hot water. So I'm going to run my tap for. I'm just going to make sure that I've got hot water coming out of that tap as I get prepared to clean out my airbrush. Okay. In the meantime, I do need 2 more parts off of my H tree, H30 and 33. Of course, 30 is that other piece that I was thinking might be for a different model, but it's not. It's actually going to be used. Okay, so we can get back to business, assuming everything is fine on my audio side and everything like that. We've got a couple of more things going on here. We've got our final assembly next after we get this put together, but this is going to be last, right? This is going to go on last. So we're going to do this first. We'll do our assembly of our engine parts. We have our actual engine, and we have this guy. Now this guy's going to go on this side, looks like he's going to go like this. If I get it lined up, it should go together. This little peg is supposed to go in that hole, but the hole is not quite perfect. So I'll do this. When the hole's too small for the peg, you make the hole bigger. Oh, look at that. Now it lines up absolutely perfect. So what I'll do is I'll glue this on after we get our intercooler on there. See, they tell you to put the intercooler on down here. Well, you could have put it on up here after you've assembled it, right? So why not? Why not do that? They want to put it in this direction here. See, it is a little bit of a tricky thing to get in there. There you go. So why not get that on there first? You know what I mean? Sorry about this. Change back. So the intercooler is now on here. So let's get the glue on there. I think that's all I'm going to need. Maybe just to solidify it. There we go. Okay. Intercooler's on. Okay. And then we've got H33. '33 and 30. Now, of course, again, it's this guy and this guy. These are the ones I mentioned earlier that I thought they were going to be for a different kit, but they're obviously just on the other side. So these two are going to go together, and now that I know exactly how they're supposed to go, they're going to go like this, right? So I just need to clean these up. Cut that one off there pretty clean. So these two go together just like that. Okay. And so just like the other one, this one's going to go on. But it's going to go in. Let's see where it goes. It goes in on this side. So one goes in right here, and one goes in right here, right? One on each side, and that's it. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna guess they are lefts and rights, and they are. The little flat spot on the little peg is it's on the right on this one, it's on the left on this one, so they are left and right. But again, I got to paint these aluminum and black, so I'm going to paint these separate. That means what I can do is actually put this assembly onto here and glue that together. And there we go. And now that's all glued together. And I can even do that. So there's our nearly completed engine. We're getting there. Okay? So, with that being done, I'm going to let this sit and let this cure, and then I'm going to paint it black. It's basically giving this one another coat of black, but this is its first coat. But I'll do 2 coats anyway. It's not going to make any difference how many coats of black I put on it. I'll actually get some masking tape and I'll mask off my little silver shaft on there. And then I can use that to hold it while I paint it, right? So, yeah. So just put this down, put this aside for now. Let that glue dry. Just make sure it's pressed on there nice and solid. We'll let that dry. Let that cure. And we're going to call it a day. Also going to let my my green parts, even though these are probably now still just a little bit tacky. So Vallejo's paints, they don't dry quite as fast as Tamiya. They do dry pretty quick, but with the retarder that you put in it, it dries even slower than normal. So yeah, you give it a good 10-15 minutes to dry or something like that, as opposed to like a Tamiya where you just give it 5 minutes or whatever. Yeah, this'll do you well. It comes out in decent color, right? That totally looks like typical anthracite color, right? They're not anthracite. Chromate, the green chromate. Anthracite, of course, totally different. Anyway, so that's it, guys. I'm going to leave it there for today. And yeah, just call it a day and say we're done. And I'll do the detail painting. I'll do some of the silver and stuff like that, the aluminum on our little our oil tank on this guy. I'll get the details put on there. Yeah, it's just a little tacky, almost dry to the touch, but not quite. It feels just a little tacky still. Yeah. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for coming out. Thank you for the new subscribers this week. You guys are awesome. Speaking of subscribers, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. Why not, right? 80% of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed, so why not just subscribe? Just do it anyway. And if you like this stuff, hit that like button. Leave a comment down below if you feel like it. And yeah, I'm going to call it a day, and that'll be it for this one, guys. And we'll see you all in the next one.